Hello, this is going to be a recording for Level 2 ESOL for a writing question. So the question is this: you have been asked to write an article for the college magazine on the following topic. What do you think is the most important issue facing the world today, and what would you do about it? So there are three important things we need to remember. First of all, we're writing an article. It's not a letter, it's not an essay, it's an article which has its own unique format, and I'm going to talk about it in a minute. And secondly, we've got two parts to the question. What do you think is the most important issue, and what would you do about it? Okay. The question has asked us to write 200 words and also include a plan. So I've included my plan here. My plan is that I have chosen, interestingly enough, to write about the coronavirus, which is a problem that everybody would agree. I'm just going to give this a capital V. Everybody would agree this is a very pressing issue and it's felt globally. Talking about the coronavirus, I'm going to start with why it's a problem, in my opinion. The question says, what do you think is the most important issue? So I'm going to say the coronavirus, but I need to say why it's a problem. I'm going to talk about selfish behavior of some people and my alternative, or what would you do about it? This is what I would do. This is how I would try and resolve the situation. So this is my plan, and let's go to the writing. Okay, so this is going to be my writing, and I've been able to summarize it into 3 paragraphs. What you see in red is going to be the new words, and the green are basically idioms that I've used. Let's remember that an article, especially for a college magazine, our audience is going to be the people who study at that college, people who read the magazine. So it's going to have to include language that is suitable to my target audience. It cannot be too academic, it cannot be too formal because it's not a report, but at the same time it's not a friendly letter that I'm writing to my best pal either. So it's going to have that clear balance. Okay. When we're writing an article, we know that we need to capture the reader's attention straight away. And we usually do that with either a rhetorical question, a statistic, or an interesting fact. And I've decided to use the last point there, an interesting fact. Let's begin. It is clear from recent events that we are currently living in some uncertain times. Uncertain times as in we are all a little bit confused. We're not sure what is going on. We're not sure what the future holds. We're living in some uncertain times. Every country is battling with its own individual problems. Battling here, I mean, is fighting, is struggling with its own individual problems, such as politics, economy, etc. However, as a global community, we are all faced with the same conundrum: the spread of the coronavirus, which has brought the world down to its knees. So I've highlighted a word here in red, conundrum. And conundrum means it's a serious problem. It's a big question that people are finding it very difficult to answer and to understand. So as a global community, the whole world together, we are all faced with the same problem, with the same question. The problem is the spread of the coronavirus, which has brought the world down to its knees. So in this first paragraph, what I've done is I've got my reader's attention, and I've also answered the first part of the question, which is, what do you think is the most important issue? In my opinion, the writer, the most important issue is the coronavirus. I've added with this word in my tone that it's not just a problem, it's a big problem. So using vocabulary, I've included that in the tone of my writing, and it's brought the world down to its knees. That's how serious and severe it is. So now I'm going to go on to saying why this is a problem, as I stated in my plan. The sudden emergence of the virus has taken the world by storm, crippling businesses, governments, and people's lives. So the sudden emergence is a noun, and it means the sudden appearance, the sudden beginning of the virus. The virus suddenly appeared. It came without a warning. So the sudden emergence of the virus has taken the world by storm. It's created this extremely unsafe and storm-like environment for the world, where the world is definitely sitting up and paying attention. Crippling businesses. It has made businesses crippled. Crippled here meaning it has basically brought businesses down to zero. It's almost abolished and destroyed many businesses. Governments, a lot of governments are really, really struggling, and people's lives. However, looking more closely, the real threat, the real problem, is not the virus itself, but some people's dark and disappointing behavior. Now, this is me writing this article, and I am very free to give my own opinion. And in my opinion, looking closely, the virus itself is not the threat, the main issue. The main issue to me is some people, not everybody, some people's dark, very bad, dark, and disappointing behavior. Those, meaning those people without any sense of shame or humanity, have decided to hoard daily products and either stockpile for their own benefit or sell online for extortionate prices. Okay, so here I'm giving my example, and my students know that when we're writing, we give our opinion, we give the reason, and we give an example. And this is my example. So those people who have no sense of shame, they really don't care about anything or anyone else or humanity. They've decided to hoard daily products. To hoard is a verb, and it means when you take a lot of something and you either stock it for yourself or you keep it locked in a cupboard and you store it. You don't actually use it for any proper purpose. They've decided to hoard daily products. Daily products could be food items, cleaning products, etc. And they've decided either to stockpile, that means keep it in a cupboard, lots and lots and lots of it, for their own benefit, for themselves, or sell online for extortionate prices. Extortionate is an adjective, and it means extremely high, silly, ridiculous prices. So far in my introduction, I've given what I think is the problem. I've looked closer and I've said why I think this is the problem. Now, and I've also included people's selfish behavior. This is all according to my plan that I showed you. Now I need to try and come up with the answer of what I would do to tackle this issue. In order to combat this situation, so using this type of sentence or combat the situation, using this type of sentence, I'm telling my reader that, hey guys, I'm not going to talk about the problem anymore. I'm going to try and offer a solution. This is how we postmark or signpost our writing so the reader knows what's going to come up next. So in order to combat this situation, combat, it means battle or fight. Basically try to solve the problem is what I'm trying to say. In order to combat this situation, solve the problem, I would enforce some very simple but strict rules. I would enforce. Enforce is a verb, and it's when you force people to do something. So it's not optional anymore, it's compulsory. You tell people you have to do this. Okay. Force is the verb. It can also be a noun, but here it is the verb. And enforce is the imperative verb, the verb that gives the order. I would enforce some very simple but strict rules. Why have I used the word but? Simple, it has one tone, it has one meaning, and then strict has a completely different meaning. Okay, and I brought these two here together, therefore I need my linker but to show it's simple. Everyone thinks simple is good and easy. It's simple, but it's strict as well. Okay, so two different words, two different adjectives there. There would be no opportunity for gatherings of more than 2 people. I would not allow more than 2 people to get together if I had the opportunity. Buying certain products would be strictly limited per household. So here I've started my sentence with a gerund, and this is how I can start a sentence making it passive. If you start your sentence using a gerund, which is the verb plus ing, you've automatically made the sentence passive because this sentence does not start with the subject. Buying certain products would be strictly limited per household. Every house would only have a certain number that they could go out and buy of a certain product. Last but not least, that means I'm telling my readers I'm making my last point here, but just because it's last doesn't mean it's not important. Last but not least, I would employ the unemployed, because a lot of people have lost their jobs, to distribute food and other necessary items among the vulnerable and sick. So what I would do is I would employ the unemployed people to distribute food and other necessary items among the vulnerable and sick. Now you can see I've got unemployed, which is an adjective, vulnerable, which is an adjective, sick, which is an adjective, but my reader knows my noun for all of these adjectives is people, so I'm not going to keep repeating my noun. Not only would this create jobs, it would heighten the sense of charity and humanity in the community. So not only, that means I'm going to mention 2 points here. Not only would it create jobs, it would heighten the sense of charity. Heighten, again, is the verb, and it means when you make something more or you make it higher. Heighten here, I mean when you make something more. It would heighten the sense of charity and humanity in the community. Because before I was talking about the fact that people have no shame, they have no humanity, and they hoard. By doing this, I am heightening the sense of charity and humanity in the community, hence killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Hence, therefore, again another idiom, killing 2 birds with 1 stone, which means you're doing 2 things at the same time. One is you're creating jobs, so people are not unemployed anymore. Secondly, you're actually helping the sense of charity in a community. The question said it needs to be 200 words, and I believe this is around 203 words. I hope that my students and anyone else who is listening to this finds it useful. If you have any questions or comments, please do let me know. Thank you very much.